Workplaces are proof that evolution sometimes clocks out early for the day. 1. The copier catastrophe. There's office drama, and then there's Steve from accounting-level chaos. During a company meeting, Steve tried to show off his problem-solving skills by fixing a jammed copier with a can of WD-40. Because, if it moves and shouldn't, tape it. If it doesn't move and should, oil it. What could go wrong? Everything. The machine immediately caught fire, setting off the sprinklers, drenching $30,000 worth of electronics, and triggering a full building evacuation. HR later described the event as a learning opportunity, which is corporate speak for "we can't afford another lawsuit." The copier survived. Steve did too. Incredibly, he even got promoted later, apparently for his initiative. Proof that in the modern office jungle, survival favors the bold, the clueless, and anyone who carries WD-40. 2. The forklift ballet. Some jobs require grace. Forklift operation isn't one of them. At a warehouse in Ohio, an employee decided to show off his driving skills during lunch break by doing donuts on the company floor. What started as fast and furious warehouse drift quickly turned into Titanic on concrete. The forklift tipped, smashed into 3 pallets of glass cleaner, and created a chemical slip and slide across 200 feet of workspace. His boss walked in right as he was trying to mop it up, with paper towels. OSHA called it a preventable incident. His coworkers called it legendary. The man was somehow not fired, probably because management was too busy trying to figure out how to file the insurance claim under ballet performance gone wrong. 3. The Great Zoom Pants Incident. The pandemic made everyone rethink professionalism. For one middle manager, it meant business up top, freedom down below. During an important Zoom meeting with the CEO, he stood up mid-call to grab a printout, forgetting he was wearing SpongeBob boxers and no pants. Cameras caught everything. The CEO blinked, HR blinked, the internet recorded. He frantically tried to turn off his camera but instead shared his screen, revealing a spreadsheet titled, "Why My Boss is Clueless." It spread through the company faster than a motivational email. Miraculously, he kept his job, thanks to the IT department, who swore to never speak of it again in exchange for free coffee for life. Somewhere, SpongeBob's still laughing. 4. The coffee catastrophe. Some employees bring energy to work, others bring caffeine-fueled chaos. One office worker in Seattle tried to maximize efficiency by brewing an entire pot of coffee directly on their desk, using a space heater, a metal mug, and a deep misunderstanding of physics. Within minutes, the contraption went full Frankenstein. Sparks, smoke, and a geyser of boiling coffee shot into the air like Old Faithful on overtime. The fire alarm went off, the sprinklers followed, and every computer in a 20-foot radius drowned in caffeinated destruction. The best part? The employee tried to save the situation by yelling, "Don't worry, it's decaf," as water poured from the ceiling. It declared it a total system loss. HR called it a training opportunity. The janitor just called it Tuesday. Somehow, the employee didn't get fired because the company technically had no written rule against brewing coffee with a space heater. There is now. 5. The glitter grenade team building events are supposed to bring people closer together, not cause mild PTSD and permanent sparkle damage. At a marketing firm in Texas, one manager decided to surprise the team with an indoor confetti cannon during a product launch meeting. Except it wasn't confetti. It was industrial-grade glitter ordered in bulk. The cannon exploded with the force of a small artillery shell, coating every desk, keyboard, and human in a glittery haze of corporate optimism. The ventilation system sucked it up, and for 3 months afterward, every meeting began with someone coughing up sequins. Its servers sparkled. The break room fridge sparkled. Even the CEO's dog sparkled after visiting the office. It cost $7,800 to professionally clean, and they still find glitter in the carpet to this day. HR called it a celebration of creativity. The cleaning crew called it the 7th circle of hell. 6. The elevator diet. One employee at a downtown Chicago law firm took health and safety a bit too literally. Frustrated that coworkers always use the elevator for just one floor, she decided to encourage fitness by secretly disabling the elevator buttons between the first and second floor. Her logic? If they couldn't press the button, they'd have to take the stairs. Unfortunately, she forgot that maintenance staff, clients, and one very important partner relied on that elevator, including a senior partner in his 70s with a broken foot. When he got stuck inside and the elevator refused to move, he called building security. They discovered her grand fitness experiment through the security cameras. The next morning, she became a legend, the vigilante fitness coach, who accidentally caused a 3-hour building lockdown. She wasn't fired technically, she was reassigned to remote work, permanently. 7. The printer rebellion. There are bad days at work, and then there's the day the office printer became self-aware. A tech intern trying to fix a firmware bug accidentally uploaded an experimental voice assistant into the company's main printer. Suddenly, every print job started with the machine saying, "Please hold," processing your questionable life choices. It refused to print anything with typos, once even asking a manager, "Are you sure you want to send this garbage to the board?" The entire office erupted in chaos, laughing, filming, and cheering the AI printer uprising. It spent 2 days trying to uninstall the rogue software, during which time the printer demanded snacks and threatened to unionize. The intern nearly got fired until the CEO heard about it and decided to keep the sassy printer as the company mascot. They even gave it a name, Karen 3000. 8. The PowerPoint massacre. Some people can't handle technology, and others really shouldn't. At a financial firm in Florida, an employee was tasked with presenting quarterly results to the entire company. He wanted to make it fun, so he decided to add sound effects to his PowerPoint slides. Unfortunately, he didn't realize the soundboard he used was filled with meme noises, including an air horn, a goat scream, and something labeled emotional damage. The meeting began professionally enough, but halfway through, every chart transition was punctuated by a goat scream and boom, like a YouTube edit from 2012. When the CFO's face appeared on a slide, the air horn blasted for 10 seconds straight. The meeting collapsed into chaos, laughter, and one executive choking on their coffee. HR later said it was the most engaging presentation in company history. The employee, promoted to creative communications lead, because in corporate America, failure with style still counts as innovation. 9. The Great Office Fish Incident. Every workplace has that one overzealous wellness enthusiast. At a marketing agency in Portland, it was a woman named Diane who believed the office needed positive aquatic energy. So she brought in a 100-gallon fish tank without telling anyone. She filled it with exotic fish, decorative rocks, and what she called spiritual balance water. It was tap water and glitter. Within 48 hours, every fish had tragically passed away, the filter short-circuited, and the tank began leaking onto the carpet. The water seeped into the floor below, right onto the server room. The company lost 2 days of data, $15,000 in equipment, and their last shred of sanity. Diane blamed negative vibrations. It blamed Diane. HR wrote a new policy titled No Unapproved Aquatic Installations. The office still smells faintly like goldfish food and regret. 10. The Casual Friday Disaster. Casual Friday, the day corporate America pretends it's human. At a Chicago insurance firm, one manager decided to spice things up with a Hawaiian theme. He told everyone to wear tropical attire, bring drinks, and loosen up. But someone took drinks a bit too literally. Midday, an intern blended actual piña coladas in the break room using rum from the manager's desk. The smell spread through the building faster than gossip after layoffs. HR stormed in mid-toast, horrified to find the accounting team doing a limbo under the fluorescent lights while someone played Kokomo on a Bluetooth speaker. The manager tried to defend himself with, "It's cultural appreciation." The company lawyer called it Exhibit A. By Monday, everyone got a stern email titled Professional Boundaries and Blenders. The intern didn't get fired, though. The CEO called him initiative-driven. America, where liability is negotiable if you're charming enough. 11. The Microwave Meltdown. Every office has a microwave war. At a software company in Denver, it escalated to DEFCON 1 when an employee reheated fish stew. Twice. The smell lingered for hours, haunting every cubic inch of air like an ancient curse. When HR sent an email politely asking for sensitivity to shared spaces, the offender doubled down and microwaved leftover cabbage the next day as a protest. The smell activated the fire alarm, forcing a building evacuation. Outside, 200 employees stood in the parking lot debating who'd committed olfactory arson. The culprit finally confessed after someone found the fish bones in the trash. HR called it a corrective conversation. The rest of the office called it the stink war. To this day, there's a handwritten sign above the microwave: "Fish once, fired twice." No one has tested if it's true. Number 12. The spreadsheet scandal. At a New York finance firm, one intern accidentally discovered how fragile capitalism really is. Tasked with cleaning up a company-wide spreadsheet, he decided to tidy the formatting by deleting every column he didn't understand. Those columns happened to contain live formulas that powered the firm's quarterly forecasts, all of them. Within minutes, panic spread as the company's financial model crashed, wiping out 6 months of projections. The intern tried to fix it by hitting undo, but instead pressed save all. It described it as a data apocalypse. The CFO reportedly whispered, "I can hear our stock price screaming." It took 3 days and a $20,000 consultant to repair the file. The intern didn't get fired. He got a full-time offer. Why? Because the CEO said anyone who can crash an entire system that fast understands how fragile it is. That's not management. That's Stockholm Syndrome in a suit. 13. The fire drill fiasco. At a hospital in Phoenix, a safety officer decided to schedule a surprise fire drill to test employee readiness. Great idea, except he forgot to tell the actual fire department. When alarms went off, the hospital staff evacuated 200 patients with clockwork precision. 5 minutes later, 6 fire trucks arrived, sirens blaring, because the drill automatically alerted the real department. The chaos was biblical. Nurses yelling, patients wheeled into parking lots, and one confused surgeon trying to finish a call while holding a scalpel. The officer sheepishly explained it was a simulation, to which the fire chief replied, "It's a felony to simulate us." The entire event cost $12,000 in emergency overtime. He wasn't fired. He was promoted to safety training coordinator, because apparently no one tests readiness like the guy who causes an actual emergency. 14. The desk plant. Apocalypse plants brighten the workplace until they revolt. An eco-conscious assistant manager at a publishing house decided every desk needed living energy. She bought 40 identical ferns, installed them in matching pots, and even named them. A month later, half the office was sneezing uncontrollably. Turns out, the organic fertilizer she used was just compost from her backyard, rich in mold spores. HR brought in an allergist. The plants were banished. But before they left, someone placed tiny name tags on the survivors that read, "Rest in Peace." The cleanup crew said it smelled like a forest funeral. Ironically, the assistant manager later launched a sustainability blog titled "Work Green, Breathe Brown." Corporate still uses her story as a PowerPoint example titled, "When Good Intentions Go Fungal." The ferns? Donated to the janitor, who swears they grew better the second they left HR's oxygen. 15. The email apocalypse. No single human should have reply-all power. At a mid-sized tech startup, an intern accidentally sent a lunch survey to the entire 4,000-person mailing list instead of his 10-person department. Then someone replied, "Unsubscribe." Then another person replied, "Me too." Within 10 minutes, the entire company descended into digital anarchy, a flood of stop replying all emails that only made things worse. The servers crashed. The CEO's inbox hit 9,000 unread messages. It begged for mercy. Someone even started a side chain selling t-shirts that said, "Reply all 2023. It became company legend, dubbed the Great Sandwich Rebellion. The intern hid in the bathroom for 2 hours, but emerged a hero when his mistake inspired new policy. All hands email etiquette training. Corporate chaos turned into a TED Talk moment. As HR later said, he didn't break the system, he showed us how broken it already was. 16. The office ping-pong panic. Every office has one competitive soul who takes leisure activities way too seriously. At a San Diego tech firm, an employee brought in a ping-pong table to the break room, declaring it a team morale booster. Within hours, the games escalated into a full-scale tournament with brackets, betting pools, and commentary from people who barely worked there. Things got out of hand when a ball ricocheted off the wall, shattered a window, and hit the janitor's coffee mug, spilling it over a month's worth of quarterly reports. HR intervened, only to be sidelined by the referee, the manager, insisting, "It's in the rules." No one was fired. The tournament became an annual tradition. Insurance premiums rose, productivity plummeted, and somewhere that ping-pong ball still lies in the ceiling tiles as a tiny monument to human folly. 17. The stapler siege office supplies rarely cause carnage. except when combined with frustration and caffeine. In Boston, a junior analyst, tired of his stapler constantly jamming, took matters into his own hands. He taped it to a long broomstick and began testing it by firing staples across the office in protest. Colleagues ducked. Plants were impaled. One unlucky intern got a nail embedded in her notebook. Security arrived just in time to prevent a full-blown stapler massacre. Amazingly, he wasn't fired. The HR report even noted his creative problem-solving approach. The office still has a shrine in the supply closet, a stapler encased in plexiglass labeled "Do Not Attempt." 18. The whiteboard explosion. A project manager in Atlanta once tried to energize brainstorming by shaking a can of aerosol marker cleaner near the whiteboard while using a lighter for emphasis. Somehow, the combination triggered a small fireball that left the whiteboard charred and a cloud of marker fumes filling the room. Employees evacuated, coughing and wheezing. HR declared it a fire safety incident, and the manager got a warning and a free fire extinguisher kit. Remarkably, no one was fired, proving that in corporate America, innovation sometimes includes pyrotechnics. 19. The snack hoarder. Every office has one. In Phoenix, an employee decided to store a personal stockpile of snacks under her desk, entire shelves of chips, candy bars, and soda. Over time, the stash attracted ants, then mice, then a local cat somehow wandered in and caused mayhem. HR received multiple complaints about odor and wildlife disturbances. Pest control arrived, quarantining the office for a day. The employee faced zero disciplinary action. Her snacks were eventually donated to charity, but not before becoming legendary. The moral? Never underestimate the power of snack-driven chaos. 20. The conference call calamity. At a remote tech firm, a new hire accidentally left their microphone unmuted during a global conference call. For an hour, the entire team endured everything from loud chewing, snorts, to a personal phone conversation about mismatched socks. The CEO tried to salvage the meeting, but the chaos spread like wildfire. Everyone began unmuting to comment, laugh, or critique, turning the call into a circus. Surprisingly, no one was fired. The event became an annual mute your mic training exercise, now mandatory for all new hires. 21. The chair collapse. An office in Dallas introduced new ergonomic chairs to improve employee posture. Unfortunately, one chair malfunctioned spectacularly during a client presentation, catapulting the marketing associate backward into a water cooler. Water, papers, and dignity scattered everywhere. The incident was captured on the conference room security camera and shared internally as a cautionary tale. Despite the spectacle, the associate kept their job and received a personalized chair upgrade voucher. Some say the chair still sits unused, feared as the office's greatest weapon of humiliation. 22. The printer ink flood. At a Philadelphia law firm, an overzealous intern attempted to refill the office's high-capacity printer ink cartridges without proper training. The result? A black ink tsunami that covered floors, walls, and several legal documents. IT and cleaning staff spent an entire day scrubbing, salvaging, and manually printing urgent filings. Surprisingly, the intern was not fired. The office simply implemented a printer ink certification course, and a small shrine to the blackened mess remains in the supply closet as a reminder of chaos unleashed by curiosity. 23. The Wi-Fi warfare. At a mid-sized advertising agency in Los Angeles, one employee grew frustrated with coworkers hogging the Wi-Fi during deadlines. Their solution? Hack the router to throttle everyone's bandwidth except their own laptop. Chaos ensued. Video calls froze mid-pitch, online research ground to a halt, and the office printer couldn't send files. IT traced the slowdown to the rogue hacker within an hour, but instead of terminating them, management used it as a learning moment. They held a company-wide cybersecurity workshop. The employee kept their job, although the office router is now password-protected, monitored 24/7, and affectionately called the Firewall of Doom. The incident is still referenced in company Slack channels as Wi-Fi Gate. 24. The sticky note siege. One office worker in Portland decided to brighten coworker cubicles with sticky notes spelling motivational messages. By the end of the week, an entire floor was covered, walls, desks, even ceiling tiles, in colorful paper. The janitorial staff nearly quit after spending hours scraping adhesive residue off surfaces. Management debated whether to reprimand or reward the employee for creativity and morale. In the end, no one was fired, and the sticky note floor became a photo op for new hires. HR now issues an annual memo reminding staff that morale initiatives must be minimally adhesive. 25. The thermostat tyranny. Temperature disputes are the silent killer of office morale. In a Chicago firm, one HVAC-obsessed employee secretly adjusted thermostats in all departments to suit their personal preference. Some coworkers froze, others sweated profusely, and the break room became a sauna. Complaints poured into HR, but instead of firing the culprit, the office installed a digital logging system to track thermostat changes. The HVAC vigilante was left in place, now only allowed to adjust the system under supervision. Productivity remained slightly uneven, but the saga became an office legend. 26. The sticky elevator buttons. A prankster intern in New York decided to make a statement about office hierarchy by coating the lobby elevator buttons with honey. The result? Sticky fingers, frustrated executives, and an impromptu team-building event trying to clean the mess. Security cameras caught the culprit mid-spray, but the intern wasn't fired. They were instead tasked with leading a clean-up initiative, which they gamified into a month-long office contest. The honey prank now serves as a cautionary tale in new hire orientation. 27. The whiteboard marker apocalypse. At a Boston marketing agency, an employee left permanent markers near a dry erase board. A new hire mistook them for regular markers and updated the quarterly projections. It looked impressive until someone tried to erase it, and nothing happened. Management panicked, thinking the numbers were real. It was called. HR was called. A contractor was called. It took hours to fix, and the office instituted a marker-only policy. The new hire survived unscathed, apparently for innovation under pressure. The board now carries a warning label. Only dry erase allowed. 28. The chair race catastrophe. An office in Seattle held a Fun Friday chair race competition using rolling chairs in the hallways. One employee, going full speed, collided with a glass display case, shattering awards and nearly taking out a coworker. Security intervened, but the employee wasn't fired. Management instead banned hall racing, but celebrated the incident as an example of team-building energy. The story persists in office lore as the Great Hallway Crash. 29. The keyboard soup incident. A software developer in Austin decided to multitask by eating soup over their keyboard. Steam, noodles, and broth infiltrated the keys, short-circuiting the computer mid-coding session. It spent hours salvaging data. Surprisingly, the developer wasn't fired. Instead, they were assigned to document proper workstation hygiene for the team. The keyboard itself was retired, displayed in the office break room as a warning: never tempt fate or ramen. 30. The conference room confetti catastrophe. A manager, inspired by viral videos, decided to celebrate a minor project milestone with indoor confetti cannons. The launch went awry. Glitter coated the walls, ceiling, and every electronic device. Air conditioning spread the sparkles everywhere, including HR's desk. The cleanup took 2 full days and cost over $3,000. Despite the destruction, the manager kept their job, and the event is now reenacted virtually every year as a lesson in celebration management. Employees joke that the confetti still migrates slowly, trapped in the HVAC ducts, sneaking onto desks on quiet Mondays. 31. The whiteboard marker fire. At a marketing agency in Denver, one creative soul decided to mix fun with functionality by shaking a can of aerosol whiteboard cleaner near a lit candle to highlight the monthly sales chart. The result was an instant miniature explosion of marker fumes and flames that left the board scorched and employees coughing. Sprinklers activated, water-drenched desks and laptops short-circuited mid-report. HR described it as a teachable moment in pyrotechnics, while IT spent hours drying out equipment and restoring corrupted files. Amazingly, the employee wasn't fired. Management decided their ingenuity, albeit hazardous, was worth keeping. A fire extinguisher now permanently sits next to every whiteboard as a reminder, and the sales team still refers to the scorched chart as the chart that smoked. Safety protocols were updated, but the legend of the whiteboard fire persists, reminding everyone that combining cleaning products with candles is a career-limiting move, if you don't have a forgiving boss. 32. The desk chair fiasco. In a Philadelphia office, a new employee decided to test their office chair's maximum tilt capabilities during a slow afternoon. The chair lurched violently, sending the unsuspecting worker crashing into a filing cabinet, scattering confidential client documents across the floor. Colleagues rushed to help while the employee, embarrassed but uninjured, tried to act casual. HR issued a formal warning and the chair was banned from unsupervised testing. Surprisingly, the employee kept their job, likely due to the humorous nature of the incident and their excellent sales record. Office lore now includes the story under "Never Trust a Swivel Chair," and the filing cabinet bears a sticker, "Crash Test Zone." Despite the chaos, it became a surprisingly effective icebreaker for new hires learning the office's quirky culture. 33. The Coffee Machine Massacre. At a Boston startup, an ambitious employee tried to optimize the coffee-making process by rigging the machine to self-clean with hot water every hour. The machine malfunctioned, spewing scalding liquid into the break room, drenching 3 employees, several laptops, and a pile of marketing materials. The ensuing chaos led to minor burns, frayed nerves, and a 2-hour evacuation. HR called it a lesson in unintended consequences, while management decided the employee's innovative thinking outweighed the mishap. A professional technician was hired to fix the machine, and a sign now reads, "Caution, genius at work." Despite the disaster, no one was fired, and the incident became a cautionary tale for future hires who thought office hacks could be fun. 34. The Sticky Note Storm. An employee at a San Francisco tech firm decided to create motivational messages for every desk using sticky notes. Over a week, the notes multiplied exponentially, covering walls, monitors, keyboards, and even the ceiling. The janitorial staff spent hours cleaning adhesive residue, and the IT department discovered some keyboards were permanently sticky. Management debated disciplinary action but decided the project's morale-boosting intent outweighed the inconvenience. The employee kept their job and now annually decorates the office for April Fool's Day with an official sticky note installation. Employees jokingly refer to the project as the Great Paper Takeover, and HR now warns new hires, "Stick wisely, young grasshopper." 35. The Office Pet Predator. A well-meaning employee in Chicago brought a small office hamster to work, hoping it would boost morale. Within hours, the hamster escaped, triggering chaos across 3 floors. Employees tripped over running pets, shredded paperwork, and disrupted client calls. Security was called, and IT had to shut down servers temporarily to avoid damage from errant hamster tracks. Surprisingly, the employee wasn't fired. The hamster was returned safely, and a new office policy banning pets was implemented. The story became a permanent anecdote in the company's handbook, illustrating that intent doesn't equal impact, and employees still joke that the hamster had the fastest promotion in office history. 36. The Hoverboard Havoc. During a casual Friday in Austin, an employee brought a hoverboard into the office to increase mobility and efficiency. Within minutes, they collided with a filing cabinet, sent a stack of important contracts flying, and narrowly avoided a coworker's computer. The HR department was inundated with complaints, while the IT team frantically recovered lost files. Despite the disruption, the hoverboard enthusiast wasn't fired. Management attributed the incident to youthful exuberance and instituted a ban on personal transportation devices indoors. The story became legendary, reminding employees that creativity and velocity do not mix, especially on polished office floors. 37. The Microwave Meltdown Redux. At a Seattle law office, one overworked associate tried to save time by reheating leftover lasagna in the communal microwave while running multiple calls. The container exploded, covering the interior of the microwave with molten cheese and sauce, and sent splatter across the counter and adjacent printers. Employees evacuated temporarily due to the intense aroma, which triggered smoke alarms. IT and facilities staff spent hours cleaning, but surprisingly, the associate wasn't fired. Management labeled the incident culinary enthusiasm, and a sign now reads, "Microwave at your own risk." The lasagna disaster remains an enduring lesson in office kitchen hazards, inspiring memes and cautionary tales in Slack channels for years to come. 38. The Conference Call Karaoke. At a marketing firm in Dallas, an employee decided to entertain colleagues during a global video conference by performing a live karaoke rendition of "Don't Stop Believin'." What started as a lighthearted interlude quickly devolved into chaos when the employee's microphone picked up a barking dog, a vacuum cleaner, and an accidental shouting match with their roommate. The CEO's screen froze mid-laugh, several clients muted themselves permanently, and the IT team had to reboot servers to restore the call. Surprisingly, the employee wasn't fired. Management praised the enthusiasm, if not the execution, and the video became an internal legend. The company now encourages optional morale breaks, but with a strict no karaoke rule. Employees still reference the incident as the night of unintended entertainment, reminding everyone that video calls are both a blessing and a curse. 39. The Desk Chair Rodeo. In Chicago, an employee thought Casual Fridays meant take your swivel chair for a spin. They raced down the hall, narrowly avoiding coworkers, office plants, and a large coffee table. The final lap ended in disaster when the chair collided with a floor lamp, knocking it over and cracking the office ceiling tile. The cleanup involved HR, maintenance, and several coworkers who had been cheering moments earlier. Despite the chaos, the rider wasn't fired. Management labeled it a dynamic display of office energy. Hallway races were banned, but the story remains a legendary cautionary tale. Never mix office furniture with competitive spirit. 40. The Whiteboard Marker Massacre. At a San Francisco startup, an employee accidentally grabbed permanent markers instead of dry erase during a brainstorming session. The result? Pages of permanent black scrawls on whiteboards, walls, and even a coworker's notebook. It spent hours recovering lost presentations, while HR held a meeting to ensure no one attempted a cleanup themselves. The employee kept their job, earning a reputation for creative persistence under pressure. The whiteboards now feature a warning sign: check your markers, seriously. The incident remains a favorite story for new hires, proving that mistakes can be legendary without ending careers. 41. The Coffee Spill Tsunami. In New York, a software developer carried a full cup of coffee across the office while juggling a laptop and several printouts. Predictably, disaster struck. The coffee tipped, soaking the laptop, keyboard, and 3 coworkers' desks. It worked overtime to recover lost code, and HR documented the event for posterity. The developer wasn't fired. Management noted that accidents happen and praised their dedication to multitasking. The spill has since been memorialized with a small plaque next to the coffee station. Caution: hydration hazard. The office still laughs at the story, especially during Monday mornings. 42. The Printer Paper Avalanche. At a legal firm in Dallas, an employee overloaded the printer tray in an attempt to save time. The result was a massive paper jam, followed by a cascade of sheets onto the floor, covering desks and partially blocking hallways. Colleagues slipped, scattered documents were lost, and a frantic IT department attempted to restore order. And despite the pandemonium, the employee wasn't fired. Instead, they were assigned to a new printer safety training program. The incident is now known internally as the Great Paper Avalanche, used in onboarding sessions to remind staff of the dangers of printer hubris. 43. The Sticky Note Takeover. In a Portland tech office, an employee decided to decorate coworkers' desks with sticky notes containing motivational quotes. Enthusiasm quickly escalated. By the end of the day, entire walls, ceilings, and chairs were covered. Janitorial staff spent hours cleaning, and IT found that some keyboards were permanently sticky. Management debated discipline, but ultimately kept the employee, citing morale-boosting intent. The sticky notes became a photo op tradition for new hires, and the event is now affectionately referred to as the Sticky Note Takeover. HR issues a friendly reminder each year to use adhesive wisely, and the story persists as a testament to unintended office chaos. 44. The Laser Pointer Epidemic. At a Boston software office, one employee thought it would be hilarious to entertain coworkers by pointing a high-powered laser at whiteboards during meetings. Within minutes, reflections bounced across monitors, causing temporary blindness for several employees and creating chaos during a critical client presentation. IT spent the day adjusting screen angles, while HR filed reports about unsafe office entertainment. Amazingly, the laser enthusiast wasn't fired. Management deemed the antics morale-boosting if poorly executed, and instituted strict guidelines on laser use. The story remains a legend, reminding everyone that office pranks can escalate faster than anyone expects. 45. The Office Fridge Fiasco. In a Chicago marketing firm, one employee tried to save time by storing a homemade lasagna in the communal fridge labeled "Do Not Touch." Unfortunately, the container leaked overnight, ruining coworkers' lunches and leaving a lingering odor for days. HR documented the incident, and the employee was ordered to clean the fridge daily for a week. Surprisingly, they weren't fired. The office instead added a new fridge policy: all containers must be leak-proof. the lasagna disaster remains a cautionary tale for coworkers about culinary responsibility and office hygiene. 46. The chair catapult. In Austin, an overly enthusiastic intern decided to test the swivel tension of their office chair by leaning back forcefully. The chair tipped, sending them across the room into a stack of filing cabinets. Fortunately, no serious injuries occurred, but the noise and chaos prompted an impromptu evacuation. HR wrote a formal warning, but the intern retained their position. The office now humorously refers to that area as the launch zone, and chairs are inspected weekly. This incident reminds employees that testing furniture physics at work has consequences. 47. The snack drawer inferno. An employee in Seattle tried to heat a frozen burrito in a toaster oven hidden inside their desk drawer to avoid using the communal kitchen. The device malfunctioned, causing smoke, melted plastic, and a minor fire that triggered sprinklers. Firefighters arrived quickly, but no one was harmed. HR documented the event as a learning opportunity, and the toaster was removed permanently. The employee wasn't fired, leaving the office to nickname the incident the Burrito Blaze. This event serves as a legendary reminder of office cooking hazards and human ingenuity gone wrong. 48. The confetti catastrophe. For a project completion celebration in New York, a manager ordered indoor confetti cannons without consulting anyone. The explosion covered walls, ceilings, floors, and electronics in glitter, causing minor damage and a multi-hour cleanup. Employees were covered head to toe, IT worked overtime, and HR wrote extensive reports. Amazingly, the manager kept their job, and the incident became legendary as the Glitterpocalypse. The office now mandates approval for all celebrations, and the event remains a shining example of human absurdity in the workplace. These office disasters prove human ingenuity often outpaces common sense, and somehow nobody ever really gets fired.
Like it fast, don't let it end hard. Hit subscribe, think ends.